He made the CEO's daughter a paper plane. 4 days later, she drove to his depot to find out why. I've been running medical courier routes for 6 years, and nobody in any of those glass towers ever looked at me twice. That Tuesday in October, someone did. She was 7 years old. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The morning started the way all my mornings started, before the sun cleared the trees, with my son Theo already at the kitchen table eating cereal and me loading the van in the cold. It was the good kind of October cold, the kind that smells like wood smoke and wet pavement. I had 11 stops before noon. The first 3 were hospital supply runs, refrigerated sterile components, time-sensitive, packed in foam. 6 years of this work, and I still treat every package like it matters, because it does. The person on the other end of it needs it. I don't know their name, but they need it, so I drive carefully and I sign every handoff form twice. "You got your lunch?" I call through the screen. "Counter," Theo said. He was 10. He had the easy self-sufficiency of a kid who'd had one parent most of his life and had decided early not to make that parent's mornings harder than they needed to be. He wasn't a sad kid. He was settled, the way certain children get when the world has asked something of them, and they've quietly decided to meet it. His mother was that way too. I see in him more every year. It's the best thing in my life, and it's the hardest thing I carry, both at once. I dropped him at Carmichael Elementary and headed downtown. The first 3 stops went clean. I was pulling into the Harwell Medical Innovations Tower on Marsh Street at 11:45. Harwell made precision diagnostic instruments, surgical monitoring systems, high-safety device components, and licensed a good portion of their core product line from outside patents. I delivered here twice before, smaller packages. Today I had a set of refrigerated component samples from a testing lab in Columbus, and the intake had to go all the way up to the R&D department on the 14th floor, which meant checking in at the ground-level reception desk first. The woman behind the desk told me to wait. I waited. The lobby was white marble and high ceilings, the kind of building that wants you to feel small when you walk in. I stood near the desk with my hand truck and the sealed thermal case and let the building run around me. It's a skill you develop in this work. You get comfortable being the person no one is looking at. About 10 minutes in, the elevator opened and the lobby filled with the brief sound of heels and a rolling cart of presentation materials. A woman in a dark jacket was walking and talking on her phone at the same time, gesturing at something her assistant held up on a tablet. She moved through the lobby the way executives move through buildings they own. Not unkindly, exactly, but with the decisiveness of someone who has prearranged the air. She swept past me without slowing. Her assistant clocked me as low priority and kept pace. They disappeared through the corridor on the far side, and the lobby went quiet. I didn't know who she was then. I found out later. That's when I noticed the girl. She was sitting on a bench near the glass wall across from the security station. 7 or 8, knees pulled up to her chest, staring at her shoes with the concentrated boredom of a child who has been asked to sit quietly for about 45 minutes longer than is reasonable. A young woman, I guess was a nanny or an assistant, was nearby, absorbed in her phone. The girl looked up and caught me watching. I nodded. She stared. Kids her age don't bother pretending they weren't looking. "You have a big box," she said. "E-dough." "What's in it?" "Small pieces that go inside medical equipment. Not interesting to look at. Very important to have, though." She considered this seriously. "My mom's company makes things like that." "Does she work here?" "She's the boss," the girl said in the flat, unremarkable way children state large facts. I nodded. We sat with that a moment. Outside, the light shifted. The security guard made his slow loop around the far wall. The girl was watching me with the open, unhurried attention children use when they've decided someone isn't boring. "You want to see something?" I said. She climbed off the bench. I reached into my jacket for my pad of delivery confirmation slips, the handwritten carbon copy kind, an old habit from when I first started and the digital systems weren't reliable yet. I tore off a clean corner from the top sheet. White paper, maybe 4 inches square, nothing special. "Watch," I said. The fold came from my wife. She'd learned it from her grandfather, who had apparently been devoted to the subject. I've never found another adult who does it the same way. The secret is in the nose. Fold it down twice, crisp, then angle the trailing edge of each wing upward by a degree or two. Most planes stall and dive. This one finds the air underneath and rides it. The girl, I found out her name was Lily, watched with both hands pressed together under her chin, the way children watch things they aren't quite sure they're allowed to want yet. I handed it to her. She reared back and threw it from the elbow. It drove nose first into the marble 6 feet away. You threw it too hard. I know, she said, already running to pick it up. Gentler this time, like you're letting it go instead of launching it. Release it, don't throw it. She came back, adjusted her grip, and tried again. This time the plane lifted off her hand, steadied, and glided, really glided, across the long stretch of marble in a slow left-curving arc before settling near the security desk, quiet as a leaf. 30 feet, at least. The guard looked down at it, then up at me. I gave him a small shrug. Lily sprinted the length of the lobby to retrieve it. She came back holding it in both hands, almost like she was carrying something that might spill. Again, we sent it back and forth 4 times. Each run a little longer, a little cleaner. By the third, she was figuring it out herself. She'd been releasing with a slight upward tilt, and she leveled her hand deliberately and held it flat. And the plane went past every previous run, 40 feet or more, gliding all the way to the glass wall and coming to rest against it as if it had decided it wanted to look at the street. I think I said, "There you go," under my breath. Lily was grinning. Not the polite smile of a child in an adult building, but the real thing, loose and surprised and fully present. Then Lily, the assistant, suddenly standing. Footsteps from the corridor. Lily's mother was in the lobby doorway. She stopped, took in the scene. A courier with a hand truck, a paper plane by the window, her daughter grinning in the middle of the marble floor. Something moved across her face that I couldn't quite name. It lasted about 1 second. Then her phone buzzed. Her assistant said something quietly near her ear. She looked at Lily and said, "Sweetheart, go with Jenny, okay? I have to go back upstairs," and she was gone. The R&D intake receptionist came down shortly after. I took the thermal case up to 14, completed the handoff, signed both copies, and wheeled the empty hand truck to the elevator. Driving my next stop, I thought about the girl off and on. Not with any weight, just the way you carry something unexpectedly good. By the time I picked up Theo at 3:15, I told him the whole story. He listened, nodded at the important parts, and said, "Did she throw it too hard?" Without hesitating. I told him yes, at first, and that made him nod the way he does when his theories about the world prove correct. That night, I found the paper slip on the passenger seat. I must have set it there without thinking when Lily handed it back. I put it on the workbench in my depot, smoothed out the creases, and didn't think much more about it. The rest of the week was ordinary. A long run to Clearfield on Thursday. A loading dock snag on Friday that made me 7 minutes late to pickup, which I hate. Theo's bean plan on the kitchen windowsill was a week and a half old, and he was documenting it every evening in a science journal. Height in millimeters, color of the new leaves, light quality. He did it in pencil. He was careful about it. Saturday morning, I was loading the van when a car I didn't recognize turned into my lot. The depot is a converted single-bay garage on the east side of town. Just the one bay, a small office, and a workbench I've had since the beginning. I watched the car park and a woman get out. Dark jacket, no assistant, no phone, no card. It was Lily's mother. She walked toward me with the kind of unhurried purpose of a person who has decided to see something through. I set down my crate. "Ray Callum," she said. "That's right, Laura Whitman." She stopped a few feet away, hands in her coat pockets. "My daughter told me the name was on your jacket. She has been talking about a paper plane since Tuesday." I didn't say anything. I came to thank you in person. She looked at me directly. "She doesn't get enough of my time right now. I know that, and I'm working on changing it. But she's been easy and loose and happy all week in a way she hasn't been in a while. That matters to me. So, thank you. She's got a good eye," I said. She figured out the release angle herself by the 3rd try. "You don't see that. She is." Something shifted in Laura Whitman's face. "She mailed it back to you. The plane." She found the company name on the delivery confirmation and had Jenny help her look up the address and find a stamp. I looked up. "It'll arrive Monday," she said. I thought about that. A 7-year-old mailing a 4-inch square of receipt paper back to a man she'd met in a lobby for 20 minutes because she decided it came from him and belonged to him. She didn't have to do that, I said. She wanted to. She said it was yours. A pause. She drew on it. On the wing. I put that somewhere quiet inside and left it there. Laura Whitman had been looking at me with the same careful, assembling attention I'd noticed when she'd walked into the lobby on Tuesday. The kind of attention that means a person is connecting things they haven't said out loud yet. Before I came out, I had my team pull your vendor record, she said. Standard practice when I meet someone in a business context. And my VP of R&D recognized your name. I waited. He said you're the engineer behind the SEAL 7 sterile transport closure system. She held my gaze. We've licensed it for 11 years. It's the safety certification backbone of our highest volume product line. That's right, I said. She let a bead of silence pass. And you run a one-man courier service in Pettis County. It suits me. Theo's school is 4 minutes from here. I haven't missed a pickup in 6 years. I looked at her evenly. I'm not in the wrong life, Ms. Whitman. She was quiet for a moment. The morning sun laid itself across the gravel lot. I'm not here to make you an offer, she said. I want to be clear. I drove out here to say thank you for my daughter. But I have to ask, is there anything you'd want? From me or from the company? In any context? I thought about it honestly. My name in the technical record, I said. The SEAL 7 engineering documentation. Not on the product. Not public. Just in the filing. The original engineering credit corrected. I signed it away under a work-for-hire clause before I understood what it would become. I made my peace with that a long time ago. But I'd like the record to be right. She held my gaze for a long moment. That's all, she said. That's all. I'll have it done. She said it without hesitation, and I believed her. Then she looked at me the way people sometimes do when they've added something up and the answer surprised them. Not pity, not admiration, something that was its own quiet thing. Enjoy your weekend, Mr. Callum, she said, and she walked back across the lot to her car. I watched her go. The envelope came Monday before my first route. It was small, with a child's careful block letters on the front that wandered slightly uphill toward the right. Inside was the folded plane. On the lower wing, in blue crayon, she'd drawn a stick figure with one arm raised and lines spreading outward from the hand, the way children draw the sun, or the way something sounds when it's traveling, or the way something looks when it carries. I unfolded it carefully so the drawing would stay whole. Then I taped it above the workbench. Theo came in from the kitchen to see what I was doing. He stood beside me and looked at it for a moment. She's a good artist, he said. She is. He picked up his backpack, and I locked the depot, and we drove to Carmichael in the early quiet. He had his science journal on his knees, open to Monday's entry. The bean plant was 2 weeks old now, and the new leaves were coming in lighter than the ones below. A different green, he noted, softer. He was writing something in the margin, careful and unhurried. I didn't ask what. Some things a person keeps. I dropped him at the curb and watched the doors close behind him. Then I turned toward the river and my first pickup of the morning.